Hello friends, in the series of learning computer organization and design, today's session is focused on multiprocessor architectures. So let's begin with understanding the various architectures which multiprocessors are having. Now before beginning the topic of multiprocessors, let's understand about what are the multiprocessors. So for this, we have already have a detailed session of multiprocessors. The link I will provide in the description box in order to get to know what are the multiprocessors, what are the various types of multiprocessors existing, right? But here, just for your information, multiple processors are part of your machine, right? So it could be the CPU, it could be the input output processor, again the CPU, or again the IOP means the different kinds of processors which are available in your machine all are combined together and are able to share a common memory system. Then I would be saying this kind of architecture is called as a multiprocessor. Now these multiprocessors exist in various forms. Let's now start understanding about these forms. So here is the very first slide being presented in front of you. You can see that there are three broad categories in which the multiprocessor systems are defined, right? So let's look first about this A category, which is consisting of all the processors and even the shared memory system together, and they all are sharing a common bus, right? So there is a common bus or the common interconnection structure, you could say that. Right? Now all the CPUs and the memory, they are sharing a common channel for transferring the data. So this is what the point is. This kind of architecture is called as without caching because we are not providing any cache facility here in this architecture, right? So let's now discuss about this multiprocessor architecture in more detail. So here is the first point A, which is saying two or more CPUs and one or more memory modules all use the same bus for communication. So this is the point to understand that the channel of communication is the same one. So the ideology for this kind of architecture is whenever the CPU wants to read any content of the memory, first of all, it need to check whether the bus is idle or is in busy state, right? Because if the bus is already occupied with some data, then CPU has to wait for this bus to become idle, right? So when it is idle, the CPU will put the address of the word. So definitely what the CPU will be having, the instruction, the address which it want to go in the memory, right? So it will pick that particular address and will place it in on this particular bus. And now using certain control signals, it will wait for the memory to provide the desired operand onto the bus, right? So this is how this entire procedure works. So biggest problem of this kind of architecture is the wait time, right? Because there is only one bus. So congestion chances are very high. So it is a very congested kind of network, right? Because there is only one channel to communicate. So if number of processors are available and they want to talk to that shared memory system, then it will be a really a tedious task to as the waiting period of this particular kind of architecture will be enhanced, right? So moving ahead, let's now discuss about the second architecture, which is with the cache, right? Now what we have provided, just to resolve this waiting period problem, what we did, within the processor, some small cache memories are being allocated. Now what does these cache will do? Instead, the CPU will again and again try to refer the main memory and will keep this bus busy. Now, certain of the read operations can easily be handled by the processor itself within the cache memory. So this is what the advantage of the second kind of architecture is. So which depicts that The problem was there definitely associated within the first approach. Now when the bus is busy, then CPU want to perform some read or write operation, then it has to wait. So waiting period can be more, right? So the point is that this particular architecture was a very slow kind of architecture. So what we did here, we provided the cache inside the CPU chip. So now what it is providing to us, since many reads can now be satisfied out of the local cache, right? So there will be much less traffic. So congestion problem is tried to be resolved here using this by providing the cache memory to the individual processors in the second architecture. Similarly, there is a point of third architecture. Now what does it is depicting? With caching and with private memory. So we are further trying to resolve the problem of congestion and we want to enhance the throughput. So what we did, to these processors some private memories is been assigned, same is to all the processors, along with the cache been provided to them, and this shared memory has also been present, right? So what it is helping me to perform now, in this each CPU has not only the cache but also the local private memory which is accessed over the dedicated bus, right? Now to use this configuration optimally, the compiler should place all the program text, strings, constants, and other read-only data, stacks, and local variables in the private memory. So this is what it need to provide within the cache as the local memory of the CPU, so that all the tasks, the bus congestion problem can be reduced and all the CPU's tasks can easily be resolved. See, you could say there are some local variables, we will add some constants, some data, strings, some read-only data we will be placing, so that the CPU's instruction, right, it can be fulfilled. Now when we will be using the you could say that shared memory system, because ultimately multiprocessors are having the capability to use the shared memory system. So the shared memory system will only be used if we want to perform some updates, means if we want to write the data. Otherwise for read only purposes we can easily use the private memories of the CPUs. So this will further enhance the multiprocessors, you could say that the throughput rate, right? So these are the three broad, you could say, categories of multiprocessor architectures. Now, as I am saying, the memory is shared among all the multiprocessors. So based upon these shared memory multiprocessors, we are having three categories of the multiprocessor systems. Let's now have a detailed idea about these multiprocessor systems. So here is the first one, which is the uniform memory access. So broadly, the shared memory multiprocessors are classified as uniform memory access, non-uniform memory access, and cache-only memory access. So there are three categories of these multiprocessors which are shared memory based existing. So here we are going to describe about the uniform memory access. So you can see that this is the bus or the channel through which the different processors will either talk to the shared memory. Along with that, even if any of the peripheral has been there, okay, so the bus system can be using the crossbar, the multi-stage kind of network, interconnection network as well. Now the point is, here the processors are sharing the physical memory uniformly. Just because the name is uniform memory access, so it is having this unique property that even if the memory is being divided into certain modules, the processor will have equal access to the physical memory, right? So all the processor have equal access time for all the memory words. So the processor 1 will be the time been allocated to processor 1 to to look at this particular shared memory 1 will be as equal to the processor number 2. So same is the thing for the IO devices as well. If any of the processor want to communicate with IO device, the same uniform time will be allocated to all. Okay. Now the point is, when all the processors have equal access to the peripheral devices, then such kind of system is called as the symmetric multiprocessors. We have already learned that the multiprocessors are falling under two categories, right? Symmetric and asymmetric. So when we are providing equal access time to all the peripherals, to all the other shared memory modules, we will calling it as a symmetric multiprocessor. So when only one or few, means when we know that the task is predefined, we know that only processor number 1 and processor number 2 is dedicated to talk to the IO devices, and then processor number 3, processor number 4, and so on and so forth can talk to the main memory, means the tasks are predefined, then such kind of multiprocessors will be called as the asymmetric one. So you could say that in the uniform memory access, we are having two types of multiprocessors available, right? So next is the second one, which is non-uniform memory access. So as the name specified, non-uniform. So there is no uniformity that how the memory is going to be accessed by the processor. So the access time varies with the location of the memory word. So here is the one point: if the processor is lying nearby the local memory, right, of any particular machine, then it will take less time to execute the data. But if this processor has to talk to this local memory n, then accordingly its access time will vary, right? So what is happening in this case is, we have divided the shared memory into the local memory, okay? And in this local memory we have defined that, let's suppose address number 1 to 1000 is to be available here in this local memory 1, 1001 to 2000 is available, let's suppose, in this, and similarly 2001 to so on up to n is available here. So my point here is that this processor is not only having the access to local memory 1, but it can also have the access to local memory 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is why always a global address space is being allocated in this particular kind of machines. So why do we have provided the local memories to these processors? Just to ease the task, okay, just to remove the congestion problems. So that is why we have provided it. So the shared memory is physically distributed among the processors. So otherwise, for the normal operations, processor 1 will be aware that its area is lying for this 0 to 1000 words. Okay. Similarly, processor 2 is aware of this. So what if for any reason this processor 1 has to talk to processor number n, or the local memory allocated to processor number n? This thing can also be done. For that, it need to use the local address space. This is the only point. So if there is an interconnection network being here, we can use any kind of internet network connection, being crossbar, being multi-port, being the time sharing. So accordingly, the physical architecture will be defined in case of non-uniform memory access. So there is no uniformity how we are accessing the memory here. That's why it is called as the non-uniform memory access. Let's now proceed ahead with the next point. Now, there is a comparison between the two, right? So, we have so far learned about the UMA, which was the uniform memory access, and similarly the NUMA, which was the non-uniform memory access based systems. So, generally it has been asked that, okay, how you are comparing the two. So, if I am talking about the basics of what we have learned here, so here we were having only the single memory controller being used. There was only one controller of the memory, right? There was only one shared memory which is being uniformly accessed by all the processors, right? But here in case of non-uniform, so we are having the multiple memory controllers available. So this is the basic architecture. Then there comes the types of the buses used. So here we can use even the single bus, we can use the multiple bus, we can also make the interconnection using the crossbar. But in case of the NUMA, so we are following tree and hierarchical kind of architecture. Okay, so tree approach, a hierarchical approach, otherwise we have not covered it yet. but this is the another approach of the interconnection systems, how we are connecting, making the physical connections among the physical memory as well as the processors. Similarly is the next point, memory access time. We know that equal access time has been provided in case of the uniform, right? So here is unequal, or you could say that it could change according to the situation and according to the distance, especially distance of the multiprocessor. Okay. Now, which are the conditions suitable for UMA and NUMA? So basically, I can use the UMA for the general purpose, right? So if my purpose is just for using it on a normal basis, and even the time sharing approach is followed here because each and every processor is given the equal time to access the memory. So these are the two approaches for which we can use the UMA. But if I am talking about NUMA, so basically we are using it in the real time applications, or you could say that the time critical applications can also be, it could be suitable for that also. So if I talk about the speed, so definitely it could be the slower one because the waiting time is very high here. So the NUM is the faster approach, right? So here we are going to learn the very last part of the multiprocessor system, which is COMA, that is cache only memory architecture. So you can see that it is a special case of non-uniform memory access model. Okay, or you could say that the enhanced version of NUMA. So what it is, here all the distributed main memories are converted into the cache memories. So why we have done so? Because cache is very fast. So again, ultimately through the multiprocessors, what we are doing is we are just trying to increase the throughput, right? So what we did, here is interconnection system. Here is the cache which has been allocated to the processor. So these are the different processors been there. Each and every one, the main memory is now divided into the cache memory, and this directory is being used here. What if this processor 1 has to talk to the cache 2, this cache number 2 of the processor? Then for that purpose, in the directory, all the addresses are being defined in a well manner, right? Like the cache memory 1 will be having certain address space available. Similarly, cache 2 will be having certain address space available. Similarly, cache 3 will be having some address space available accordingly means. So this directory will help in making the communication more successful and enhancing the more throughput rate of the cache only memory architecture module. So with this, students, I hope you are able to understand today's session. Thank you so much for joining the session.